Well, let me cancel this. Let me continue one more time. Give it a moment. The beauties of live demo. Unexpected results. Okay, we'll cancel that. Let me see. Okay, it actually ran. Okay, so it ran. Progress, it succeeded. And now let's go over to my SSIS log folder. Let me put this inside the window where you can see it, hopefully. Expand that, look under logs, and it did write to it. And this is a big file here, wide file. Let me shrink it over. So here's our log. It's in CSV format, event, computer, operator, source, source ID, and then all the information. So on information for every information that happened for every task has been logged. So if we scroll to the bottom, we probably should be able to find where it wrote 48 rows. So that's even logged there as well. Okay. All right. So let's log an error and see how that looks. Back to control flow and stop my package. And I want to change something here in the data flow so it'll fail for us. Right now it's sending good rows that aren't null. So I'm just going to change that temporarily here. So now when we run this package, we'll should see an error. And our log file should display that. So execute one more time. Maybe Windows is so busy with GoToMeeting. Okay, let's see. I'm waiting. Visual Studio is waiting for a response. So I cancel that. It goes ahead and runs. That's not normal. So, all right. So we did have some errors. So since we had enabled logging, first of all, let's look at the progress, see if we can figure out what that error was. So under our progress tab, if we look at the second error right here, we would see the culprit. And I'm going to paste this out. I have a little tool here for pasting it. I'll see what it says here. It says that there's an error. The column first name on the destination, column status return, you violated the integrity constraints for the column. And I happen to know that nulls are not allowed in this column called first name. So that's what happened. We tried to insert a null value. So the error message is telling us the truth. So we should be able to go to the log file now. And once again, it wrote to this existing log. So it actually added information that was already there, added information to what was already there, which is problematic. We'll show you how to fix that in just a moment. But now if we scroll down past where the log ended the first time, which was somewhere around here, scroll down a little bit more, we should find an error on error. It's telling us that the package failed, it's telling us that the task failed, and we're looking for the specific error. It should be, let me search for it. Another word, violated, is in there. Violated. So there's the error. The value of the violated the integrity constraints for the column, that column first name. So you can see that this simple text file logging is logging a lot of information. So what you may want to do is limit that. So let's go back into the package and go back to the control flow and stop the package. And boy, it's really being slow. Go back to our logging. Menu. If I can get the cursor back. I shut down almost everything on my computer today before this, but still don't know what's going on. Okay. So the logging is doing something. I'm going to delete that logging and redo it. So okay, I deleted that. I'll delete this. Let's try running it again just to see if that's the issue. Execute package. Yeah, okay. So it was quick. Should be quick. All right, so what we want to do this time is with the logging. Right click. We'll still do text files for now. We'll say add. Add the connection back. This time, since there is a file there, we can say existing file. So I'll browse to that same file. Okay. Say OK. And this time, for the details, let's just unselect everything. Of course, you can see there's a lot more that we didn't even select. It would really be a lot more than you'd ever probably want logged. But if you have a need to, it's there. We're just going to select only on error and say OK. One more thing, I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to delete this package, or this file, so we won't have so much to look at. And execute the package one more time. And let Windows or Visual Studio tell us it's waiting, and we'll cancel. Not really sure what's up with that. I may have to research that and get back with you. It's obvious what's happening. I'm just not sure why. So we'll cancel, cancel again. Package will run. It will fail. And we can go back to the log file, which was created just now. And a lot less information this time. And the on error is there. And the value violated the integrity constraints again for the column. So that way we notated or logged a lot less information, just the error. Of course, it does log that error for the task. It logs it for the data flow, and it logs it for the package, so it's in there multiple times. Let's go back to package. And let's look at here another way to log. A little more complex, but we can do that as well. I'm going to delete this one again, just in case that's slowing us down. Delete and delete. I want to show you one more thing before I did that. So let me recreate it again. So you can see how easy this is. Just select a new connection, browse to it. Now you notice it's going to keep writing over the same file, but what I would rather do is add a date to the end of that, so let's do that. And so first of all, details, we're just doing just the errors, okay. We can go into the connection manager here, and under properties we can add an expression. Click on the expressions ellipsis. And for the connection string, we can add a new expression here, and I've got it over here so I don't have to type it in front of you. Paste it in, which is basically going to take the folder location and then add the date and the hour and the minutes. So 2015, 120, 11, 29. And that'll be updated as the package runs every time. So each time it'll create a new log with the date. So one more time, execute the package. And, oh, it's quick this time, good. And now you can see that the package results has the date and time appended to it. Same information as before, but now if we run the package a subsequent time, then that will be updated, and it'll be a new package log created. So let's look at SQL Server logging. The way we do that, again, you can right-click on the control flow or on SSIS logging and say on the drop-down SSIS log provider for SQL Server. And just click Add. Now we have to create a connection to wherever we want to store that log. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and store it in that same database that I already have connection to. So I'll just select the one that's already there. If it wasn't, you would just say New, and then point to whatever location and server and database you want to use. And I'll show you where that's located later. So for now, I'm going to use the one that's already created that I used for the webinar. Select it, and under Details, we'll just let that be error for now as well. We'll say OK. And once again, we'll execute our simple little package, hopefully to run quick again. And indeed it did. In the Progress tab, we haven't changed anything, so it's basically the same error as before, violating the integrity constraints of that column. So now we can go over to Management Studio. Let's see if I can show this screen. Make it as big as I can, I guess, for you. And let's see. Where it's located is in the Webinar Demo folder database. And under System Tables, there's this table that's created, DBO SYSSIS log. And if we query this table, you can see that there are some rows here that have logging information. This is probably from when I did it earlier. So I probably could have truncated that so we'd have less to look at. But if we scroll down to the on error, which is the only thing we log this time, then we should be able to scroll over to the data flow source, and the message all the way to the right here. The value violated integrity constraints for the column. So you can see that it stored it right here in SQL. So you can do some queries against it to determine what errors or what logging, what messages have been received from the packages. All right, I'm going to truncate this table for now just to clean it up as we look at it again. Table, yeah. And all right, we'll come back next time to be cleaner. Okay, back to our package one more time. And just to give you an idea of the logging capabilities, I'm going to select the SQL Server database log. go to Details, and I'm going to go and select everything, which is not something you would probably do, but let's just do it to look at it for now. Let's say OK. And I'm going to go in here and fix what we know is broken. So back in the conditional split, I know that this should be removed so that the null rows will not go to the output. Say OK. So now the package should be successful. And it's going to log to that file, and it's also going to log to the database. We'll give it a moment. And it looks like it's going to take a little longer this time. I'll cancel for now. Okay. So when it works properly, it only writes 48 rows. So that's correct. Okay, go back to, this is the most recent result. Actually, most recent result we hear 1135. And you can see it's a lot bigger file now. And it's going to log basically everything that it can from the package, including the 48 rows that were logged, that were written to the destination. So if we go to SQL Server, you can also see all of that. Of course, the advantage of the SQL Server is you could query it with SQL queries to search for what you want to search for. So in this case, it wrote 491 rows. So this brings up an issue that you would want to do, and that's probably purge your log files from time to time, just like you would probably delete files that are older than a certain amount of time. You'd also want to go into your SQL Server and have something set up to delete file or delete rows that were older than a certain time, because this will continually grow. All right. All right, so that's one example of logging. We'll do one more here and talk about a little bit of notification. And so here we go. Let me stop. Back to the control flow. SSIS also has these event handlers that can be used for logging. And the way you would do that is just click on the event handlers and then choose an executable that you want to log or handle an event for. And for now, you can drill down, but I'll just leave it selected for the package level. Let's say OK. And then to create on error event handler, we just click this. And I'm going to do something simple as put an execute SQL task here. So whenever the package fails or there's an on error event, the SQL task will execute. And what I'm going to have it do is write to a table that I've created, or I may need to recreate it again real quick. I'll use our same database connection. You can use whatever connection you like. And the SQL statement in this case is going to be over here. Let's see. I'm going to insert into a table. Let me grab that. Actually, this is the table I need to drop and recreate again. So let me execute this. So I just created a table that I'm going to use. It basically is just going to have an ID column, the package name, and the error message. That's all I'm going to store for now, just to keep it simple. So back in my package, the SQL statement is going to insert into that table two values, the package name and the error message. That's what the question marks will be. They'll be parameters. So we click on parameter mapping, and Here you're going to see the variables that are available. So we're going to add, let me make this a little bit bigger. We're going to add a variable, and since for now I've just chosen the package name, I'll scroll down to package name. Change the data type to nvarchar will work. And I'll name that parameter 0. The first parameter is 0. And then the second variable is going to go into the second parameter, and that's going to be the error. Not the error code, but the error description, because I want to see the words. So we'll use error description. And again, this is going to be nvarchar. Parameter, the second parameter, which will be parameter 1. So again, we're going to basically use this statement to insert into that table I just created those parameters, which are built-in system variables from SSIS. You could also create variables. We're not going to get into that, but you could create variables for things like row counts and write those in as well. Just say OK for now. And let's execute it like it is. Let me save everything. If I execute it right now, I left it in a state where there are no errors. So if we go over to the event handlers, you'll see it did not execute. So it did not log any errors into that table. Go back over to this table. See the table that I created. It's not a system table. I created it in our DBO. So there's no rows there. That's because it didn't write anything because there were no errors. Someone fixed my package, or actually I'm going to break my package in the data flow. If I can get it to stop. What is Windows waiting on now? We have to stop this package. Okay, cancel once again. I have to figure that out. And this time Visual Studio is restarting. Very nice. Get this back up here where you can see it. And close these extra windows. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, so let's go in here and open the data flow. Hopefully I can do that. Frozen again. Well, I apologize. I think I'm going to cancel or delete the logging. Maybe that'll help it. So let me delete. Okay. Since we don't need that right now. Don't need that. And okay. Still cannot open the data flow. All right. We'll wait another moment. And okay, Visual Studio, we will cancel that. Okay. Save everything. It's not letting me go into the data flow. Well, had I been able to go into that, I would fix it so that the package would break, and then the event handler would write the package name and the error message into this table. But since it's not going to let me do that, we may just move on. Switch to, how about that? This is a new one. Now it won't even let me cancel. Lovely. Okay. All right. I know you don't want to see that. All right. Well, let me see if I can. Let me close Visual Studio. Let me just get out of here. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Okay. All right. Let me show you this one other well, notification. We didn't get to that. Okay. And SQL Server Data Tools, one more time. As far as notification, there's a couple of ways you can do that, and the simplest way is to use the send mail task. So you can do something like drag a send mail task here, and assuming that the package runs but maybe fails on the last step, you could come here and say configure this to failure. So if the data flow task fails, you can configure a send mail task to send an email for notification. You could also do one for every task. This can become cumbersome, obviously. Because you have to configure all of these, and email lists are subject to change, so you have to really plan for this type of situation. You might also want to have a send mail task that would be upon completion, and of course have a different message. And of course this send mail task, I'm not going to have time to show you, but we could actually configure that and send the log file that was created. So that's one option for notification. Something else that can be done here, let's see. See if it's going to let me back in the data flow. Nope. Okay. Waiting again. Sorry. And before we go, I did want to show you cancel, cancel, cancel. Third-party option, which really makes this even easier, and that is with BI Express, which is available through Pragmatic Works. And that's a third-party tool that will allow you to add auditing framework or notification framework. And the way this is acting, I don't know if I'm going to be able to apply it right now. Let me save everything. BI Express, add framework. And just with a few, very few clicks, through a little wizard, we can add some very robust framework. I'll reload the package one more time and show you what that's added to it. And if we could get to it, we would see that it basically is added event handlers to write into a database that BI Express creates. And it stores pertinent information for the packages. We even have a dashboard that's available to monitor the packages. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show that. So with that, as you can see, you can do some simple notification just using the logging function built into SSIS, and you can send emails with the email task, and that can take auditing. But if you need something more robust, then there are tools that are available. So with that, I know we're going to have to finish up here real soon. Are there any questions that we might can talk about logging?
I think we do have some, we have quite a few questions here.
Okay, sure.
Let's see, which logging is better or has better performance? It should not be a performance hog.
Well, there is an overhead to logging, and I'm wondering now, even so, with the problem I've had this morning, if that was part of the problem. See what's going on here. So you do have to consider that when logging. So you only want to log what you need to log. And one good question is to think about who's going to be the person that's going to be using this. There's no need to log things that are not going to be used. So just, I would say minimal, but whatever's necessary to log. So there is overhead.
Okay. With SSIS 2012-2014 auto logging, do we need this additional step?
Well, you actually have that as available as well. So this is just something that you can use either while developing or even in production for an additional logging. So I guess the answer is could be either way.
Okay, and should we have access to the drive or application where the log is?
Should we have what?
Access to the drive or application where the log is I assume, going to be stored?
Yeah, you would definitely have to have access to that throughout the process. Yes.
Okay. Let's see, is there any sensitive information in the log files?
Well, I guess it depends on what you mean by sensitive, but there could be, but you would want to protect that regardless. Think about it. Think again about who it's for, and so when you're designing your logging, you want to consider who it's for and who's going to be seeing it.
Okay. So are there any major differences in logging in BITS 2008 and data tools?
The functions I showed today, I believe, are the same.
Okay. Do you think, let's see, is there a way to capture just the rows written in the logging?
To capture just the rows written in the logging? Yes. You could do that. You could set up a row counter. If you're familiar with SSIS, you could do the row counts, write those to a variable, and then just like I used that event handler, you could write those variables to a table.
Okay. Is it possible?
And that's what VExpress does automatically.
Okay. Is it possible to log SSIS cube build?
SSIS cube, I'm not aware. Well, I mean, you can log whatever the package does, but I'm not sure what it would log if you did like a SSIS process. Not sure about the detail that it would log.
Okay. Will it append to or override in an SSIS?
If you're writing to a file, like I did at the beginning, it appends to that file if it exists. That's why I added the date and the time to it so that it would add a new log with a new date, new time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. If the login is set to create file in Visual Studios and the file already exists, such as from previous package executions, does it overwrite or append to the log file? I believe you just answered that question.
Yeah, so it depends. Yep.
Okay. Is there a way to empty contents of the log file before the next run instead of appending records to one file?
By nature, it's going to append. You could come up with some file task or some other procedure for deleting it, I guess, but that would be a little more complex. Best way would be actually to add the date and time, because that's good, valuable information anyway. You can see the name of the, when it was run.
Okay. Someone asked, could you, they missed the startup of the logging setup, and could you possibly show them that one more time?
Where you get to it, again, quickly, it's pretty simple. When the package is open on the control flow, you can right-click the control flow and click logging, or under SSIS, logging.
Okay.
And yeah, that's where you get to it.
Awesome. Can we get the expression that you used for the date and time in file name in the chat window so they can copy and paste it?
Yeah, that's a handy little function, and you can alter it to make it suit your needs, but that gets you the basic idea. Let me grab that again. And how do I send it to everybody there? Just put it in the window and you can...
If you put it in the chat window and then you select for all.
Organizers, I don't see an all. Maybe I can put it there and... Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, maybe you can share it. Yeah, so everything starting with the quote. I'll put it up here too in case somebody's just wanted to look at it.
Okay, everyone should be able to see it.
Okay. In the chat log, yep.
All right. Is there an easier way to delete old logs?
You could do a file task in SSIS. File task and just do it based on the name and maybe a date.
Okay. Can we change the SQL Server logging to our own table instead of the System Tables folder?
The built-in logging uses the built-in table that's created by SSIS. That's why I did show that you can create your own log table and write to it.
Okay. Does this log also have connection values? And then he writes right underneath that used when ran.
I would have to think about that. Let's see if so he's asking if the connection information you may be able to actually log that as well. I don't think I did. That's a good question. That may go back to the question about secure information. So I'm pretty sure passwords, those things would not be, but if the connection, other information is there, obviously there are some information that's there. So
Okay.
I'll have to look that up.
All right. Maybe you could add it to your blog. Okay. Is the SSIS, SYSS, SSIS log table created automatically?
Yes.
Okay. Is there advanced or ADV in logging in two places?
It's under the Details tab, Advanced.
Okay.
That's where you can be very specific about what you choose, which events to be logged.
Okay. Event handlers were created, but what if the event handler has errors? Would they be logged? And if so, where?
They would not be logged unless you set up something. Now, if you set up logging, the log provider here, then they would be logged, yes.
Okay. What data types do you use in the DBO SSIS log table?
I just chose text type, or in varchar is what I used.
Okay. Alan Spillert would like for you to know that it's nice to see an expert have the same problems he runs into.
Thank you very much.
Sometimes you never know how nervous a person is when things don't go so well. Dennis says, why not use the logging built into SQL 2012 and 2014? Don't they automatically get logged into the SSIS DB?
Yeah, yes, they do, and so that can be done.
All right. I'll ask you just one more question, and then whatever questions we weren't able to get to, I will send them over to you, Tim, and
Okay.
maybe you could just pick a few of them and write a blog and include your slide deck that you weren't able to show us. That would be awesome. How do you log when the package doesn't run at all?
And there's fails validation, something like that?
He doesn't say.
Yeah, so I assume he's saying something like that. So I think it would probably log just minimally that it began validation, but other than that, you wouldn't get anything. If the package doesn't run, there's nothing to log.